Yes, Craig is in fact here.
No, he's not. That's Santa
Okay,
Claus.
Santa Craig. Where's our
Santa Craig.
presents? Where's my
He's
presents?
he's coming to town.
He's bringing me
We've
the
been
Immortals.
naughty.
He's bringing me the Immortals box set for Christmas. I know it.
Good luck.
What's nope.
Yeah. But we're the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. I'm Jay, joined with my co-hosts Christopher, Christian, and Dan. Say hi, guys.
Hi guys.
Hello there.
No.
All right. So what are we talking about this week?
Well,
wait,
first off, where
Yeah, we
can they
gotta-
find us? Jeez, it's been a week, man.
No. Last week you skipped it. You completely skipped it, and we never came back to it.
What do you
Did
skip?
I?
Yeah. I started to get Christian to tell everybody where they can find us on social medias, and Chris just started talking last week, and we never got back to it. Yep, we don't have to do it anymore. That's the rule. You
Yeah, we
get
do.
Dobby socks.
I'm free.
So Christian, where can they find us?
So, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, whatever other platform you use for your podcasts. You can find us on YouTube, listen to our podcast there. You can also find us streaming live on Twitch TV under Grumpy Dungeon Masters on Tuesday and Thursday. Various members of the Grumpy Dungeon Masters are currently working our way through an honor mode run of Baldur's Gate 3. And after the holidays, look forward to the return of Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher's Dungeons & Dragons 5e campaign, Waterdeep Worldborn Dead, on Saturday nights.
All right, good
All
job.
right.
So now what are we
Yay!
talking about?
I got this. So we'll see how that works. First off, as I've been starting things, what do you call someone that writes and publishes a module and then plays that module in the future and does nothing but find problems with the thing that he published?
Last time you went and did this exact same bit, I ruined it for you. So I'm not going to ruin it for you this time. Somebody else can answer.
Well, at least I finished the question this time. You weren't just jumping ahead of it.
Yep, I like to ruin bits of yours. You know this.
All right, so what's the answer?
Oh, I guess I'm gonna answer Christopher
Yeah.
Waples. That's what you call him.
Yeah, Chris, you call me. So it's me twice in a row. I get to be grumpy about myself. So this week, on Monday, a local bar or store in the area was looking for people to sign up and play a Christmas module. I don't remember the Christmas module, what it is, and half the reason I don't remember it is I and a few other people from Adventures League signed up to play it, and we all got emails like the day before saying that all of us were on a wait list and did not have a seat at that table. So we were like, what the hell? What's going on? Why do we get benched for the thing that we got confirmation emails for and been planning to go to for about 2 weeks? So we were like, all right,
Are you always on the
what
B
are we going to
team?
do? I guess I am. So I was like, you know what? I'll just run my module for you guys since it was like half my AL group. I was like, I'll just run my module for you guys at Synergy on Monday instead. And I actually got a chance to DM Everyone's Been Naughty that you could find in DM Guild. And I ran my players through that on Monday. And then I ran my remaining Adventure League people through it on Wednesday. The first group, they did pretty well, and they were able to befriend the guy that most people kill, and then solve the scenario. But at the last moment, they said, "You know what? Something doesn't feel right," and they sunk the entire module at the very, very end. It was quite hilarious. Kind of vague because I don't want to ruin the module for people to go out there and play it. the Adventure League group, the other half, ran it on a Wednesday. They did okay. They didn't, murder hobo their way through it. They were a little bit more open with what's going on in the story, and they were able to succeed and got the okay ending of the bunch. So the first group got the worst ending, and the second group got the okay ending. No one got the best ending, but everyone had a good time, and that's all that mattered. But I tell you what, while I was reading through the thing that I published, I couldn't just stop myself from looking at it and going, who wrote this piece of shit? Like, every 5 minutes, I was finding some major problem or flaw to it that I was like, how could I not have seen this 4 or 5 years ago when I published it? Like, how did I miss that? And what kind of drugs was I on to not notice this glaring flaw? A lot of the flaw was like flow between the scenes was kind of awkward. Maybe it's just I've changed and grown a little bit, and it doesn't make as much sense to me now because I hadn't even thought it for a while. So I kind of had to reread the thing to understand what the hell I was going to do anyways. And I was playing like the big bad at the end, and it was like one of his abilities is just like, I cannot believe I wrote it this way. It just makes no sense whatsoever. Why didn't any of you, as in you three, stop me from publishing this? Because I know you guys read it, so it must have made sense to you all when you read it. I don't.
I've run it
I wonder
before.
if other writers. Yeah. I wonder if other writers feel the same way. They go back and read their old stuff, and they're like, "Man,
Yeah, I mean, we are
what drugs was I
our
on?"
biggest critics, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This
The
kind of actually
the artist and the writer is always going to criticize their own work harshest. And what seems obvious to you that you should have written differently 5 years later, you thought was right in the moment. And other people have run it and didn't complain about it. Other people have played it and didn't notice what you think that is wrong about it. So don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah, I know.
If you are noticing it now, and you're saying that, well, you guys are my editors. Well, why didn't you call it out? It's because we didn't think it was a big enough deal to call it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, and like, yeah, go ahead.
So this kind of segues. This is a thing I was going to hold in my back pocket, but it seemed like a good way to talk about it. Is because I wanted to ask you some of these questions, Chris. Is how what the space is. What's the difference in the space between what the adventure is in your head and what you put out into a written module other people then have to be able to understand and run. And like, I've never done that because that whole concept of trying to do that, but you have a couple of times, and somewhat successfully, judging by your rare earth metal things on the DM's Guild. So like, are you catching, like, when you're going there wondering this, is this the difference? It was like this, but this is not the way it is on the sheet, or are you just looking at it with regret?
So with the one error I found with the monster stats, I just don't think I wrote it correctly, and it probably was just a glaring issue. It's a glaring issue to me now, because like it was supposed to be something very similar to kind of like the dragon's frightening presence, and I just don't think it reads right. And I think I could rewrite it now to make it better. The bigger issue that I kind of came across is the flow of the whole module just didn't seem to work for me anymore. Like, the module starts off like many one-shots do in a tavern, and then quickly tries to push the players into the first combat to set up the story as it's going on. And that's fine. It's just between there and the rest of the module, it kind of falls apart. When I initially ran it, it was like a murder mystery of sorts. And when I publish it as a one shot, it definitely is not a murder mystery. You immediately get told who the supposed villain is and are given means to go address the problem. And that kind of railroading is like, I would hate that as a player, to be railroaded like that. But like I said, in the initial module, that the players actually had to go around town and do research and find things, but that would be too much for a one shot. I think the first time I ran it, it took like 8 hours to complete the thing, and that's just way too long for a one shot. It has to be around 4 hours. So I remember cutting that part when I wrote it, and now in the future, like, it's not that big of an issue, but I guess maybe I'm just like, you're just told the villain's that way, go that way, and then you're pushed that way. And then everything from that point next is just like, oh, you've arrived here. Great. You did thing Y. Now go do thing B. And it just, I don't know, it just feels very odd. And that was kind of a frustrating thing for me. I don't think the players noticed. I think I noticed because the pacing was just weird to me.
The timing and the pacing of that module in particular is actually really difficult because you have multiple possible outcomes. You know,
Yeah.
generally a one shot, they're typically just very, very straightforward. You know, you start at A, you go to C, you go to D, you're done, and the outcome's not ever going to change. There's not going to be a difference, and it's going to, like you said, 3 to 4 hours very consistently. Um, with the way that one, there are multiple potential outcomes, and depending on which way the players go, it can even add an extra encounter.
Hmm.
I don't recall all the specifics of when I ran it because it was a few years ago, but I do recall my players just took the shortest route. And,
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily the best outcome, but I had planned to run that thing for 4 hours and we were done in like 2.5. So,
Okay. Wow.
yeah, I mean, well, that's how my players are. They let's get to it. We know who we got to go beat up. Let's go do it, and
Yeah.
that's what happened.
So I think like part of it is just like, I I don't know the proper pacing. The module has pacing for a one shot now, and if I were to rewrite it, I would definitely change some things and probably like eliminate a good portion of the module. So I've it a number of times, and every time it's a different amount of people.
Can I just say, you have the opportunity to do that. It's your module, and the
Yeah.
opportunity is that 2024 just came out. Rewrite what you want to rewrite. Rewrite. I
Yeah.
mean, update it.
Like I said, I did think about that, updating it for 2024. At the end of the day, not much would change for it. But then again, like, I know a lot of people have run it and no one's complained about complained about the issue. So I'm wondering if half those problems are just inside my own head, like you said.
When you ran it this last time, did you run it as it's written, or did you run it the way you now think that it should be run?
I ran it as it was written. And I guess that's where I saw the issues kind of pop up. Like, one group did it and they had no problems whatsoever. They were just fine. They moved from one to the other to the other. The other group was like, they needed more of a coaxing to go to the next spot where the other group didn't. So I'm not sure.
I don't. You didn't do it incorrectly by any means. Players will take wild fucking choices. So, just as an example, my friend Johnny, he ran us through a campaign several years back, and we played this thing for a very, very long time, several years. And he had told us that he had run that exact same campaign for other people previously. And the direction that my group took compared to the direction that other group took, vastly different. You
Mhm.
know, like the previous group, they were just all in on doing exactly what the game master was pointing them in, you know, not taking alternate routes. And us, man, we were just all over the fucking place. DM would point us in one direction, we're running off in the other one. So players love to do that, and
Yeah.
you know, every group of players is going to do things very differently, even if it is a limited thing like a one shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, one
So
shots are generally where you can get away with a little more of a, hey, this is a
railroading.
one
Yeah.
shot. Yeah, everyone's supposed to go do this thing.
Yeah.
But do you think any of that stuff, any of the issues with the flow or anything, stems from the fact that your original idea was a murder mystery and then you hammered it into a different shape?
Mm.
The original murder mystery aspect of it was secondary because of the inspiration for the material. The inspiration for the material is a drawing that our friend Adam Shumpert drew. He drew this amazing Christmas piece in a WotC D&D style with, like, you know, stuffed beholders and stuffed owlbears and murderous goblins with sharp candy canes and whatnot. And I was like, I'm going to write a module for this. So the back half of the module is actually the encounters I wrote to handle that picture, so to speak. And then the framework that I built around it was just there to get us to that scenario. So it's almost kind of an inverse of that in a way too, you know, where my whole idea was to, you know, do what his picture showed. And I was like, okay, but I think I can make this more interesting by doing X, Y, and Z with the murder mystery. And when I wrote the one shot, I took the murder mystery out because it was just too much. And I'm kind of glad that I did, but I don't think adding the murder mystery back at all would helped at all in the slightest. I just think the issue was going to, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 locations in the module.
Mhm.
But I think it could have done better if it was like 3 or 4. I think it's
Yeah,
just the amount of locations that were
that's a
set
lot of
up.
bouncing. That's a hell of a lot of bouncing around for a one shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think you give more to do at fewer locations and you kind of keep it a little more focused.
Yeah, because one location, it doesn't have a map or anything. It's supposed to be a role play encounter. It's the optional encounter too that Jay had mentioned, and like I think I could have just ripped all that out, you know, but I kept it in because, like, hey, I got an idea for a sequel, and this is the seeding for that sequel if I ever wrote it. And also too is that part has been one of the most widely commented on parts of the story. Frosty the Portalmancer with his super depressed suicidal tendencies. So like, so the most commented fun thing people are telling me about is the one thing I'm going, I really should heard. So
No way, man. I liked Eeyore the snowman.
yeah, everyone else did too because they were interacting with him, and I just kept like knocking my own hat off. Like, I don't want to talk to you. Just don't. So, like I said, the one part that I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on is the one that I'm going, I should cut that.
Yeah, so
So
maybe you should pay attention to that. Everybody liked it, so maybe just leave it alone.
yeah. So I don't know. You know, like I kind of almost want to go back and run my other road, the Dread of the Ice Devil one, to see if I encounter any same issues too. But
You
my
will.
wife said that I'm not allowed to because she's still triggered by the Mind Masters.
Oh yeah, fuck those guys.
Yeah.
You just had to bring that up, didn't you?
Well, it does segue into my next thing I want to talk about. If we're done with this topic.
Yeah, let's move on.
So, we've been playing Baldur's Gate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the answer is yes.
And I'm
It's just-
and I'm actually enjoying
Correct.
myself for once.
Yeah, because you're playing my role of just being a crazy murder hobo. But when we're in the stage, we're still in Act 1, but we're in the stage where we're kind of like in a Duergar stronghold of sorts. And part of the thing is we're not killing anybody, we're just going around talking to everybody. And we run across a Duergar that is drunk. And I'm talking to him, and I'm playing a Duergar role too, because I hadn't done that before. And while I'm talking to him, an option comes up where I can question the Duergar as to why he's drinking so much. Because according to what he says, or the text says from my PC, is why are you drinking so much? You know that drinking and getting drunk can lead to bad memories resurfacing. And I didn't know about that. Have you guys ever heard anything about that?
No.
Okay.
No.
So let me get this.
Yeah, I have never considered playing a dark dwarf in that game, so wouldn't have come across that one.
So Duergar don't drink like dwarfs do. All right. Mostly because whenever they do, let me find it here. I got to find the actual thing I was reading. Hold on.
Yep.
Quick, cut in some old music.
Yeah, like
No,
I'm actually I looked this up online, so
was it Follows Guide to Monsters? And the best part is too, it's in the book that they all got rid of, without all the information about monsters and whatnot.
Yeah,
okay.
can't have that lore clogging things up.
Let me just tell you, I'm gonna go down a fucking rabbit hole on trying to figure out where this originated from.
Yeah.
Go down the hole.
I'm not gonna do it tonight, or maybe after the podcast, but because some writer at some point had to have written this in a book somewhere.
Yeah. Shit.
Just
Well,
can you
topic over. Anyways.
Yeah.
Topic over. So Duergar, they don't drink because they were enslaved by mind flayers, and those memories still exist within all Duergar psionically. So when they drink any kind of alcohol and become drunk, they risk having those memories resurface, and it's triggering for every Duergar. All right. So what happens is when those memories then resurface, all right, they immediately go into a fight or flight response. So in the game, I'm standing there talking to the Duergar about, hey, why are you drinking? That's going to resurface bad memories. And I chose that option, and immediately we were in combat, and I didn't know why. Okay. And that's when the Mind Masters showed up that I've never seen before in the game. I didn't know there were Mind Masters in the docks. Because when I chose that option, that Duergar kind of grabbed his head and got all those memories from the old being enslaved, whatnot, and immediately started attacking everybody else around us. And that's why we got stuck in that combat where all the
we killed every single Duergar in all of them.
All of them, yeah. So I just found that funny. I'm not trying to be a murder hobo in the game, but even my good choices seem to be leading us to murdering everybody around us, and I don't know why.
I'm glad you explained this, because I honestly just thought you decided to start a fight.
No, I didn't,
because you do that a lot. So
I do that a lot, and so I had to basically like. I was very curious, and I was talking to my wife about that because she was triggered by the main Mind Master. And that turns out to be the reason. So yeah, they don't drink alcohol. Yeah, here it is. Unlike the Dwarven Duergar drink alcohol only in moderation and avoid overindulgence. The Duergar have learned from bitter experience that those who drink too much risk awakening deep racial memories of their ancestors' cruel treatment at the hand of the Mind Flayers. The psychic agony that these memories invoke manifest in severe flight or fight response. An intoxicated Duergar might flee in panic and search for a safe place to hide until the effect wears off. A different one might respond by brawling with anyone in the vicinity, venting the rage Duergar harbor against their former masters. And that is in MTOF page 80. So, Mordecai's Tome of Foes is what it was in. So, yeah. I found that amazing. And I love Duergar. I had no idea what that was, or if that's new for 2014 or what have you, but I just kind of thought that was amazing. And then we were fighting Mind Masters that were hitting us for like 1 piercing damage and 40 psychic, which was great, and killing Daryl back to back.
Yeah, he did die a lot that fight. Yeah, I'll handle on the ecology of the Duergar at some point. Figure out who wrote that.
I just find it odd that even playing Baldur's Gate, just the amount of detail they put into it, and it just more even every another playthrough through, I learned more and more stuff about this world that I think that I know everything already about.
Yeah.
So it's quite great.
Yeah, we're still hitting a lot of stuff that we had never come across before.
Yeah.
All right. So moving
I do
on.
have another topic, but I'm going to let one of you guys take over for a little bit.
I think it can wait because we have to talk about what Christian wants to talk about. So
he wants to talk about something that he linked to us 2 seconds before our podcast started.
Yeah.
It took me 2 minutes to read most of it. So
really,
that was to keep you talking. You don't know anything, it's harder to talk. Probably not for you, but in theory. So, what I wanted to talk about was something I grabbed from Kit to this little thing they called Holiday Market, where they were you could basically get stuff for a month before December. You could get stuff that had already successfully crowdfunded somewhere at some point, so it was ready to ship off to you as soon as it was over. So I'd seen a lot of various YouTube and bloggers talk about Nimble. So when I saw it was up there, decided to pick it up for myself just to see what all the fuss was about. So this is a game called Nimble. It is, or I believe that it begun life as a series of house rules for D&D 5e. And it still exists kind of in that sphere, in that it's meant to be pretty easily compatible with D&D, meaning it should be, and they give some conversion guides in there, it should be pretty quick to convert monsters and other stuff over so that you can run using these rules. And the idea behind Nimble is that, it goes faster. Combats take less time. Exploration, dungeon crawling, skill challenges, all that resolves more quickly than in standard D&D, with combat being really the main thing. It's also supposed to streamline it. You have a little bit less selections, you have less stats, there's a little bit less skills. Makes everything kind of smaller and fit into it. It does take some principles from some older school kind of games, that there's some guidance as to when you actually need to roll and when it makes sense, but it does have a lot of neat mechanics.
How so?
I will. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying how so. Like what?
So I'll first start out. Can continue to say, if you don't like high fantasy, high magic kind of style of D&D, this isn't going to solve that problem. This is still very much
5e D&D.
It's still 5e D&D. You are still playing a very heroic fantasy. Your characters are special. So it's not meant, and it's not really meant to solve that problem. It is just meant to kind of speed up the slow points of D&D 5e. And they do that in a few interesting ways. You have 4 stats instead of 6. Your stats are strength, dex, intelligence, and will. So
Yeah,
they kind of combine wisdom and
yeah.
charisma into will, and then strength is both strength and con, essentially.
Yep.
They streamlined some of the skills. There's still some that I think they could have, streamlined a little more. In that, I don't think there's a lot of the skills, like a lot of the kind of knowledge skills, they just put into lore. There's a lore skill that is your book learning about most things, though, are still things like arcana and nature. But there's still the one I was like, why is there a difference? Is there's perception and examination, which is the same still weird mix of like, why is there perception and investigation? You could easily combine those into one skill and it would be fine.
Yep. But
The
one of
weird
them is
part
based
about
on will and one on intelligence.
Mhm.
Go ahead,
But
Chris.
it makes sense because perception is your senses and investigation is you using your brain to figure something out.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. Like that's very much true.
Sure.
If you're trying to just narrow everything down, then you could just do it that way, which is kind of what I think Christian's point is. But realistically,
so
they should be separate.
yeah. But well, some of it is like, I guess maybe the use case is like in finding locks, finding traps and stuff is technically investigation. You're not noticing the traps, you are figuring out if there's a trap. To me, I could see perception being also just fine for noticing stuff like that. So
Yeah, perception is that you're walking by and you spot something.
Yeah.
Perception is. Investigation is you're taking time to examine something and look it over and figure it out.
Yeah. So they narrow down the stats, they narrow down the skills a little bit. There's no proficiency bonus in this. Everything is based off of just stat. Skills you do
Shadow
have
Dark.
sort of. You do now with skills you do have skill ranks. Sort of. The max bonus you can have for any skill is capped. But generally speaking, they've knocked out that proficiency bonus, so that all the kind of dice rolls are kind of just a little less mathy.
Mm-hmm.
They've done away with 2 hit rolls.
Yeah, that was the part that was weirding me out when I was reading through this.
I do kind of like how it works. So you just roll your damage dice for whatever your effect is, whether it's a weapon, an unarmed strike, or a spell. If you roll the minimum number, if you roll 1 on the die, your attack misses. If you roll the max of that die, you crit and the die explodes and can keep exploding.
Isn't that how Warhammer works?
That's how Shadowrun works, or it used to. I don't know about the newer versions, but there's a number of games that use that.
Okay.
So
and that's how you end up doing 32 damage with a couple of d6s. Like
it makes an interesting. So they do have a thing because there are certain weapons that roll. Like so your damage for a great axe might be 2d8. In that case, they tell you have to basically pick one die. One of those 2d8, one of those d8s is your primary die, and that's what everything triggers off of.
Okay.
So if you're rolling 2d8, they say you take the left die that you roll if you're rolling physically. You can also use different color dice and select a primary. If it's on a VTT that has integrated, then the VTT tells you which die is the primary die.
Yeah.
But either way, one of your die is the primary die, so that is what determines whether you miss or crit.
It's weird because realistically, this is probably just a better way of doing things.
Yeah.
But mentally, for me, I've just done the attack rolls for my entire gaming career. So just the idea of I'm just gonna do damage on every attack all the time is odd to me, unless I roll a natural 1.
Unless you roll 1.
Yeah,
but it makes
but on the damage die. So like you're going to do damage way more often, than you would if you were having to do attack rolls. But this at the same time, it will speed up combat because you're only having to make one roll.
Yes, and if you're damaging more, you are, you're getting through the fight more, right?
Yeah.
You are getting, and you have to remember that applies to you. You are getting hit
Yeah.
more.
Everything is going to speed up. Everything is
The
going to
fights
take
are a
more
little
damage.
faster, yeah.
Mhm.
But it does make some interesting cases with the weapon damage rolls, all right? So like your damage die in a weapon becomes an interesting thing now, because if your damage die is a D12, you're not going to crit very much, right? You're going to
Yep.
hit a lot more often, but you're not going to crit very much. But if your damage die is a D4, you are going to miss, statistically 25% of the time, but you're also going to crit 25% of the time.
Yeah. It still holds the same dynamic of the 2d6 of a great sword is still better than the 1d12 of a giant axe.
Right. hmm And that matters in certain other places because they do armor here is soak, which I do
Okay.
love.
I mean,
So
if you're always taking damage, you have to do it that way.
yeah, so armor here is a way to soak, but it's also to use that soak, you are going to have to use one of your actions.
Okay. Of
Um,
which you get 3 every round.
right.
Like,
And
yeah.
the way it's an interesting thing that, before I get to that, so they also have stacking advantage and disadvantage. Meaning you can have advantage, stacked up multiple times. Same thing with
Hmm.
disadvantage. You could have disadvantage stacked against you multiple times.
That
Stacking
could,
people probably helps with the soaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
that could get confusing.
It seems like it, but only because you're not used to it. There are other game systems that do kind of the same thing, and it ends up being pretty quick. You just have to remember, okay, well, 2 things give me disadvantage, so now I roll, 3. If I'm wielding a dagger, I roll 3d4 and take the worst roll.
Yeah, I mean, it's not complicated. I know some players that would struggle with that.
Yeah, it's just, once you're used to one system, I mean, it's the same thing if you change over to any different system,
Oh yeah.
right? If you go from 5e to DCC, DCC is a hard system, right? But it's different, and you have to think about things because you're not
Yeah.
used to it. It's not just second nature to you anymore.
I have multiple players who are playing dwarves in that game, and it took them several game sessions to get used to rolling a D3 with their attack rolls that would also damage roll. Like, yeah, it's anytime you're changing
Yeah,
systems, it
and this
complicates things.
is the same thing. But I do like the kind of stacking because that kind of gives you ways that, like, with all the things in 5e and stuff that can give you advantage, it's not wasted here. Like if you get advantage from a bunch of things, it's a good thing. Same thing with all the things that can give you disadvantage. If you get hit with multiple of them, your day continues to get worse. They do. So I'll talk about actions here before I get. They do hit points and dying first, but I think actions need to come first. You get 3 actions, which is similar to Pathfinder or some other games. The
Yep.
way they have it, when you roll initiative, you actually have to roll to see how many actions you get the first round. But that's a minor thing. But generally speaking, you're going to have 3 actions you can take. Moving is an action, attacking is an action, doing anything else is an action. Certain things might take more than 1 action. There are several of the spells in here that take 2 or 3, or sometimes 5 actions to use.
Love it.
Meaning back to
Multiple
like older
rounds.
editions where sometimes casting a spell took you more than a round to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can happen here. But you get your actions back immediately when your turn ends.
Yep.
That'll come up later. You can attack multiple times, but if you do the same action multiple times, you get disadvantage for each additional time you take that action.
So they're basically pulling straight from Pathfinder 2e.
It kind
Is that
of even remember in 3.5 and stuff when you got
Oh yeah.
multiple
Yep.
attacks. Your first attack was at a higher bonus. Your second attack was at a lower bonus, and if you had a third attack, it was even lower.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right?
I remember.
and this is kind of pulling from that same thing of you can attack 3 times with your 3 actions, but your chance of rolling that one, gets greater and greater with each time. The important reason why it matters that you get all your actions back at the end of your turn is because you can do things when it's not your turn. One of those things is to soak damage when you get hit. And each thing that you do when it's not your turn takes away from your actions of the next round it is your turn. So
I'm just
you
going to
could-
play a heavy armor dwarf that only stands there and soaks up the damage.
Right. Which you could do. And you might do stuff that first round, but then after that, if you just soak up, you'll just end up not doing anything else but literally being the tank.
Just call me SpongeBob. I'm gonna soak it all up.
Well, you said doing the same actions takes more.
Yeah, you can
rounds, right?
you can actually only take each. I think they call them reactions, but you can only take each of those once. So you can only soak once.
Ah, okay.
You can defend once. You can interpose, which is interesting. Which is when an ally of yours that's close enough to you would get hit. You actually move over to their space, shove them out behind you, and then you take the damage.
Right.
Opportunity attacks are another one of those heroic reactions. Or you can set up your allies. So, like, if your ally's about to attack, you could go, "Hey, I'm gonna actually help them out. I am gonna we're near here, the same foe, so I am gonna to give him advantage on his roll against them."
All right.
Yeah, like I'm not hating any of this. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty. It's a little bit of a mix of D&D and a little Path for being all simplified.
Yeah. It all stays pretty simple. So like armor is soaked for players. Armor is different for monsters. Monsters have 3 states. They're either unarmored, they have medium armor, and they have heavy armor. For unarmored monsters, everything is normal. You roll dice and see what happens. For medium armor monsters, you only do the damage that's shown on the dice. You add no bonuses to it. So any bonus you would get from strength or dex, any bonus where a spell says, hey, it does, 3d6 plus int or plus 10 or whatever, it only does the dice. If you have heavy armor, it only takes half the dice and no bonuses.
Okay. So how are you going to track the bonuses all the time? Or are you just going to keep asking the players every round?
Well, it's just whenever you would do damage to something, it would be like, how much damage are you doing? You tell the players this monster has, heavy armor, it's only half the dice damage, so how much damage was it? Same way you have to track the bows now when I have to say, okay, or same way if I have a flame tongue sword, like in Dan's last game, when I run into a creature with fire resistance, you'd be like, how much of that damage is fire?
Yeah.
I have to tell him.
Yeah, but that always does slow things down and complicate things.
Sure, but
like
in
it
this,
just
they're
does.
kind of like, you can be upfront. Just tell the players this is a medium armored monster, so this is what it means. Don't add any of your bonuses. Just give me the damage on the dice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said you actually went through and played this, or you just
I have played a one shot of this.
Was it any faster?
Oh yeah, yes, way faster. I would say you could probably get tripled, doubled. It's like D&D 5e, because this is 5e, and this will be one of my criticisms. It does get it starts to fall apart at the seams at a high level, just like standard D&D.
Yeah.
So just like good old D&D.
But I would say at the levels where most people play, low through mid level, you can probably get through easily triple the number of combats you could in D&D in the same amount of time.
Yeah,
Maybe quadruple.
not making attack rolls, not having to worry about, oh, is it a bonus action? Is it not a bonus action? That's going to speed things up tremendously. It just will.
Yeah. And there's less stats to deal with. The monster stats are super simple. Like the monsters are easy to run too. So that helps too.
Yep.
But one of the things about the armor is why crits matter. When you crit, you ignore armor.
Okay. That's important.
So that makes the rogue with the dagger, critting, he can maybe he might do more damage to certain monsters that are heavily armored than the, barbarian with the giant axe.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
that's
he's
kind of
placing his
like that because
blows.
it's making it interesting. Like you have a lot of decisions to make upon how what you want to play or how you want to play because of things like that.
Yep.
It's kind of creative. I like it.
Yeah, they do bring back something that one of the good things from 4th edition, which is they have minions.
Chris, he's talking
There's
your
so many good
language.
things. There's so many good things from 4th edition. You're just
Not
all
really,
haters.
sir.
Not really. So one of the other interesting things I found with this, and I'll get to class and stuff later, but resting in this. When you rest, you catch your breath. You take a field rest to catch your breath. It's 10 minutes. You can expend hit dice to roll them and see how much you heal. You can make camp, which is your 8 hours of rest with food, where you need food and sleep. Then you can roll your hit dice, and you get the maximum healing from each hit dice, and you get to add your strength modifier to it.
Okay.
Neither of those rests recover hit dice, hit points, or any class resources.
Okay.
To
Okay.
recover
So-
those, you have to take a safe rest, which means you have to go somewhere like a sanctuary, back to town, somewhere where you can rest, where you wouldn't have to be worried about being attacked or that watch or anything like that. It has to be what the DM has declared a safe location where you can rest and recover. And
So,
that
like,
back hit dice.
So basically, just the option in 24 DMG for taking a long rest in a safe location. I literally did that 5 years.
Yeah, it's
I-
exactly what you did in your game, which I thought was
I-
actually good.
I think when you started, I mean, I've been listening to this entire thing. I have not read any of this, which is why I've just been listening this entire time. But I feel like what you said at the very beginning is really apt. This is somebody's just written down house rules that they just kind of craft it into what they basically considered a streamlined version of the game, which is sure, yeah, it's more streamlined than D&D 5e, but it's still D&D 5e. And I'm sure it's
Yes.
faster than D&D 5e. So
Yes.
Shadow Dark.
Yep.
Yes.
So is it OSR. So DCC. I mean, there's a ton of shit that's faster than 5e, D&D 5e. I know it's not faster than D&D 5e, Pathfinder 2e, or Pathfinder 1, or D&D
Not.
5.
It's not faster.
Yeah.
No, it just has
Not
better
faster.
character creation. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Yeah.
depending on what you're looking for, yeah. But like, if your whole thing is like you're advertising speed, like, I mean, I don't know. This isn't something that I would invest in, but it does seem like they have a lot of good ideas. If I was still into D&D 5e, I would maybe take some of these options. I mean, obviously, I liked you can't get all of your stuff back unless you find a safe place to rest thing. That was definitely an idea I took and ran with because, once you had, tiny hut and good berries and shit, surviving the frigid wilderness really didn't goddamn matter in the Rime of the Frost Maiden, and there was no really anything written for it, nor anything built for survival in D&D 5e.
No.
So there was nothing scary about it.
But yeah. I'll just say this goes the little step further, which actually kind of matters because even though we couldn't recover all of our stuff, even in those non-safe locations, we still got our spells back. Here, you don't get any of your spells or anything back.
Yeah.
you can spend your hit dice, but that's all you can do. So if you're out of mana, you still have no spells.
Pays to be a fighter, dude.
Yeah, does make being a fighter pretty good.
Until you run out of hit points.
So, but yeah, to your point, Dan, that you're exactly right. This is for, and that is was going to bring one of my downsides. I was going to say is about it at the end. But
let's keep moving on.
There are some other things I do like it. It does a lot of the kind of common inventory stuff. Your inventory, you get 10 inventory slots plus your strength score, so it makes item choice matter as much as it can, I guess, in D&D 5e.
Sure. I mean,
It's hard. Regular items hardly matter in 5e.
They don't. Not beyond about level 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Again, as I'm listening to this, it's like I said, it feels just like somebody's house rules, and I feel like if you're gonna do this, do it like level up 5e. They did it right. That was good. This is, I feel like, half finished.
I don't think it is, actually. I think if you read the whole thing, it's definitely not half finished. It's going the other direction from Level Up 5e, right? Level Up 5e went more complicated, a little more crunchy. It added more to it. It made monsters and exploration and stuff matter more. So it did change the game a little bit, but it also made characters a little more complicated. You got more options, you selected more things. It wasn't all the way to Pathfinder, but it was a step in that direction. This is going the other direction. This is stepping and going, how can we make D&D a little less complicated?
Ish. I mean, it might make combat less complicated, but like I don't know, if you have a whole bunch of D&D 5e players and you're playing this game now, and you're doing the whole you can't rest, can't stop until we find a safe place to rest. Sorry, you can't rest here. There's monsters nearby. Like, people who are used to playing D&D 5e, they're not gonna stop until they fucking find a place to rest. Like, they're not gonna change the people in the way they play. Like, unless this is the first game they're playing, this is not it's not gonna change that. And if you're a DM who's used to DMing D&D, that's probably not going to change either. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it definitely doesn't sound like a game that I want to play. But
so far, I really didn't hear anything that made anything super fast. That's why I asked if you had actually played it and if it was faster.
I mean, I think that the lack of rolling, as far as
yeah, my experience is that it was. You have when you get to your classes are a little more simplified as well. They do. Okay. It focuses on their kind of core competence. You don't have 700 spells to choose from. Your wizard. The spells at your tier are few and far between, and they can do a little bit more things. But it's pretty simple to figure out which spell I'm going to cast. How much does it cost? It has a mana system, so spell points basically instead of spell slots. You spend slots equal to the tier of the spell, and
when I'm DMing, the amount of time that it takes a player to do the turn, if they're paying attention and they're I should say competent in the game, for lack of a better term, their turns are really fast. Even the mages usually are the slowest turns because they got to figure it out, measure some stuff out, and having that be simplified would definitely be helpful. But I fighter, I attack. Hear my attack. I can add 7 to any number on a d20 fairly quickly, and to me, like, I can definitely see, like, taking out rolling as a thing to make the game faster, but at the same time, at least my philosophy when it comes to games is I like players rolling dices. The more dice I can get them to roll, the more fun I think they're having. And it's not always correct, but that's usually the thought that I have. If the players are active and they're rolling dice and they're making decisions, that is a better game. and this seems to take away the decisions and the rolling dice part. So
I don't think it does take away decisions or rolling dice. You're still rolling dice. You're just kind of cutting out the middleman by determining your damage and to hit in one die roll.
Yeah, very much so.
The-
Like you're still rolling plenty of dice. You are just cutting out that attack roll. It's just you're attempting to do damage straight out of the gate. If you roll a 1, you didn't do damage, and then they can try to soak whatever you deal if they have actions. Like that's
yeah, but
very
that's
straightforward.
that takes away a lot of what I think
It
makes D&D
it what
fun.
the one thing it takes away is the poor player who's level 1 barbarian just misses every turn. It takes
Yes, that's
away
amazing.
shitty die. Yeah, I mean that's
Is it?
good.
No, it's definitely.
Like taking away
It's
the
not.
ability to miss, it guarantees everybody getting something out of their combat.
But that's
It,
not
You
what
can
you
still
want.
miss.
But
It's
but you
just
still miss. You actually miss more often,
you
right? Because you're rolling your
depending on the
damage
weapon.
die.
yeah, you can
So
still
if you're
miss. You're
rolling a longsword, you're missing a 1 on a D8,
yeah.
right? So, eh.
I think it makes weapon choice more interesting instead of just with the way the misses and crits work. I think
Yeah,
that's
because
more
I guess you would potentially do a lot more damage with a great axe, but potentially twice as likely
Yeah.
to get a nat 1, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
rolling the dagger, you have a 25% chance to miss and a 25% chance to crit.
Yeah, I like the weapon damage and that side of things, but then again,
Yep.
it's easy compared to
And you don't have to roll a separate die.
2024.
You don't have to roll a separate die to get there. You're just rolling your damage die. So I don't mind
Yep.
that at all.
Yeah, I like a lot of the changes. If I was going to play a 5e game, I like a lot of where this goes. I think it's still,
Yeah,
like I said,
yeah. I'm
it's
not
still
saying that I
5e.
wouldn't that I would hate like if I was playing a 5e game, somebody having these as house rules. I mean, that'd be fine. But I just don't see me playing in a 5e game.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
For
Yeah.
me, I think the issue with this is why would I choose this over all of the other options of Daggerheart, of Pathfinder, of Shadow Dark, of DCC? Like I already have a million options for a game. So yeah, and there's already multiple versions of 5e. Shadow Dark is just 5e with a little less rules also. This is a
Yeah,
fine
like
Yeah.
game, but why choose it?
yeah, when I look at Shadowheart compared to this, I feel Shadowheart would be the better system.
Shadow Dark.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Shadow
God
Heart.
damn it, Shadowheart. Watch too many of those dumb videos. Like that one, I could see being more of a quicker 5e game than this one is. Even if this one is, this one feels more like I'm trying to make 5e the game I wanted to play from the start, kind of thing. Like I said, it doesn't seem bad at all, but I would have to play it and have to learn the rules, and I know it'd be slow from that perspective. And
I mean,
I
one or
think
two games. Yeah.
Yeah, that is my. I mean, having played the one game, I would love to play another one or two. But would I play this instead of Shadow Dark? Never. I love Shadow Dark way more. And that was one of the kind of problems I was going to bring up is the fact that it is still really 5e. It's still really tied into that kind of 5e ecosystem of still being a heroic fantasy. There are some things I love about it that does kind of point it more in the direction of old D&D and Shadow Dark, but it's still very much a heroic fantasy. You guys are heroes. It is, I think, something I would love to. I would use the rules if I was going to play 5e, but like Dan said, I am unlikely to play 5e style games or run them again. So trying to think about when I would actually run this is like I don't know. I don't know if that I would.
Yeah, I'm definitely
But
on board with that. So
my point was for somebody, if you are still in the 5e world and you are still staying in that world, but you want to speed things up, you want things to move a little more. I think there are a lot of good things in here that are good for a 5e game. Even if you don't run this wholeheartedly, taking some of the stuff from here could be. I played in a 5e game very recently. I still have a friend of mine that I'm playing in his game that we run by once, maybe twice a month, sometimes. But we played a combat, and that combat took 5 hours for one combat.
Okay, that's a little
And
excessive.
Talk about my
it was
game.
just no. I am not talking about your game.
Yeah, we sometimes go several weeks without a combat in my game. That's fair.
This was yeah, no, this was a game, and we are 10th level characters. We got in a fight, and it took 5 hours to resolve the fight. And I just kind of I just went, why? It had stopped being fun
Yeah.
properly after an hour and a half.
There was a point in my life that I feel like I actually enjoyed having those long, drawn out combats where it was tactical, just going, punching one guy, getting another guy back up, and life and death sort of scenarios. But I feel like those combats don't actually happen in 5e. I feel like
No.
it's more of it just fucking takes forever, and there's never really any seeming danger, especially at high level.
Yes, and that it's the problem that we ran into when we played 4E and at DragonCon is that
Oh God, yeah.
we ran into that combat, and it was just
The fucking dragon or whatever? Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
we were never in any real danger, but it still took forever to just drain the HP of it.
Yeah.
And this
Nothing
kind of
says boring like how many HPs it got left. Yeah, okay. Let's be here another hour just nickel
yeah,
and diming
like
this
this
fucker.
got to a point where, and we didn't even technically finish the combat. We got to the point where we had to call the game, and like it was clearly over. We had won the fight. It was just we were fighting the tank and the healer of this party of like these things we had, and they just had a lot of HP and a high armor class. They couldn't really do any damage to us very much, but it was just hard to hit them. So it was just like our couple fighters rolling and being like, "Did I get it? Did I get an 18? Nope, I miss. And their turn. You take 1d4 damage. Cool." And
Yeah.
I've forgotten about that. Yeah.
I remember very specifically too that 4E had a rule where you could try to end a combat against a bloodied opponent if you succeeded a intimidation check versus their wisdom save value.
You mean morale? A morale check?
Like,
Yeah.
I remember that had to happen a lot in 4E, but it was also kind of like, we're not going to kill you, kind of thing. But like, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, and for that kind of thing, that's where I look at a system like this and go, well, if you're already playing 5e and you just
Yeah.
don't want the combat to take 5 hours, here you
I
go.
mean,
Now you can
I
still
can't
play
remember the
5e.
last time I had a 5-hour combat in 5E.
Yeah,
I've
I
never
can't
had
because
one.
it just happened, and it happens pretty on the regular that it takes maybe not 5 hours, but at least 2 to 3.
Yeah.
I mean, this just sounds like an oddly statted encounter.
Yeah, they like 5e definitely just takes a lot longer on combat. I've never had a 5-hour combat by any means, but I'm just thinking
mean-
of all of the level 1 or 2 combats in 5e compared to me running a level 1 or 2 DCC game, and the amount of combats we're able to get into a night is just vastly different.
Well, just think
if
about we're at level 10.
Yeah, like I said, if I'm at high level fighting Tiamat, guys, buckle up. This is going to take 5 hours.
It should take a while. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, if you're
that's
fighting the boss of the entire adventure, sure, absolutely. Your final combat, buckle up and fucking plan for a ride. It's a 3-act combat, whatever. But if you're fighting just a guy or like a mini boss or some shit. Come on.
This was a rival party of adventurers, basically. So
Mhm.
other, basically, our tier
I
PCs
will
added.
absolutely say that the best system for PvP style party on party combat was Pathfinder 1E and D&D 3.5, because you could really have a combat where it was a seemingly life and death situation of a total party kill if one person on either one person or one PC or NPC made the wrong fucking decision.
Mhm.
In D&D 5e, that doesn't really work, and it
Yeah.
never has, and it definitely didn't fucking work in 4e.
Yeah, 3.5 was
No.
3.5 was an interesting game in that regard. If you didn't build your character correctly, you were gimping the party, unfortunately. Like,
Yeah.
because we had a rogue that just was not built up to par with what everybody else was, and every time we go into combat, the rogue just wasn't able to sustain damage like everybody else could, or be effective like everybody else could.
Yeah, just taking up space.
Yeah,
Get out the
basically,
game.
just a body out there.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's goods and bads to that. If you're trying to build a really good tactical team and play a very tactical game, that was the game for it. But if you don't do it right,
Yeah. I mean, the problem I've always had with having the enemy party, which I agree, you need to have the villains. They need to like at least have the appearance of like being the more powerful version of you guys, sort of thing. But you can't actually stat them like that. You really can't. It doesn't really work in 5e. It never has, and it just
No.
and if you do stat them correctly, it becomes a 5-hour combat because they have too many tricks to get out of shit. But you certainly can't or shouldn't go the way that WotC decided to take it. What are the stats for fucking who's the big archmage that's in your game, Chris? That they just nerfed to hell and back in the 2024 version.
Manchun or
Manchun,
Vecna?
yeah, he's got
Vecna, yeah.
he's got like arcane blast times 3 and like I don't
Oh
know,
yeah,
like
yeah, that
Lena's
was
tiny
Vecna. That was
hut.
Vecna, yeah.
Like what the fuck?
That
Okay,
was
maybe you should give him a little more than a lightning bolt. Like he's an archmage, like one of the named archmages for 40 years in that campaign world. Maybe boost him a little bit.
yeah.
But anyway,
yeah,
So
all right.
Well, there are some neat things in here. As a final kind of note, I'll say I do like the way they do some of the classes. Kind of take a neat spin on D&D classes. I do like that their spells are a mana point system, spell point system, instead of just Vancian. And the way they divide them up is by kind of school, but not like evocation, illusion. They go by fire, lightning, ice, radiant, wind, necrotic, whatever, and then your class tells you what kind of spells you can cast. And they have there's a lot of the stuff that you would be familiar with, but there's also some neat options like the high-end dragon fire spell, which is dragon form, which is their tier 9 or 9th level spell. It takes 5 actions to cast, but you turn into a dragon for a little while, and then at the end of it you go to 0 HP.
nice.
So the last thing I'll mention about it is the way their HP and dying works. When you go to 0 HP, you take a wound. They have a system where you can have up to 6 wounds, and then you are just dead. So at 0 HP, you are not making death saves. You are not entirely helpless, but you lose any concentration on any concentration-based effects. You cannot concentrate on further concentration-based effects. You only get 1 action per turn. And whenever you try to attack or cast a spell, you have to make a strength save or take a wound. And anybody that hits you automatically deals 2 wounds or 3 wounds on a crit. There's also not really easy magic to bring people back from the dead. And the ones that do exist, the combat one requires you to sacrifice. It's called sacrifice, and you die and bring someone back.
Huh.
Ah,
I am a
And-
fan of that. Yeah, that's good.
And it only works on them once. They can only be the beneficiary of that spell one time, and then that spell can never be cast on them again.
I am definitely a fan of games that don't make resurrection easy. D&D 5e especially. It's we've hit the level, now we can just get them back into combat. No big deal. Revivify, raise dead, whatever. It takes away the threat of actually losing your character. There has to
Yeah.
be risk involved.
yeah.
So overall, Nimble, I like what it's done with 5e, but it's still 5e. It does feel like if this could have been, in addition of D&D, this could have been D&D Basic. This could have been
WotC should
D&D
have released
6th
it as
edition.
that, yeah.
Yeah, and that would have been a neat evolution. But it, we've said a couple of times here, it's not going to solve the problem of what if you just don't want to play 5e.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the old version of Star Wars have a wound system that sounded pretty much like that? That you just
Yeah,
rattled off like
It kind of
third
did.
edition of Star Wars.
Yeah, one of the editions of Star Wars had something that was kind of like that, and I did kind of like that. I like that you can still kind of be active while you are dying.
Yeah.
You're still in great risk. But you're not just kind of like, especially in a game like D&D where combat, like, it takes a little bit for everyone to go around. You're just like, I made a death save, and then be like, sweet, I guess I can go get a sandwich for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, at least you get an action. I'll drink a healing potion and then pray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's some good, there's some bad about this. I don't mind it. I'm glad it exists. I am sure that I've seen other like YouTubers and streamers talking about this game, and it's everybody's saying more or less what we're saying. It's still D&D 5e. It's just quicker and easier to play. So if that's
I
what you
feel like
want,
it's a better D&D 5e, but you still have to want to play the D&D 5e to want to play this.
yes.
Are there any psionics involved in it?
Oh, fuck.
Hey,
Now
we're
that you
not.
asked about psionics.
Well, hang on. We can't talk about psionics first. I have one little topic that I wanted to go through. It's not exactly tabletop role playing game related, but it is adjacent to what we do. So, last night I was hanging out with my friends, and we started going over top movie lists of all time, and we went over the IMDb fantasy movie list.
Okay.
All right, now, so I'm just gonna do the top 20, and then I'm gonna let you guys rage about how bad this fucking list is. So at number 20 is The Chronicles of Narnia: The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. At
Yeah.
number 19, King Arthur: Legend of the Sword. Has anyone even heard of this fucking movie?
Is that the shitty Guy Ritchie one that came out like 5 or 6 years ago?
2017. It has a meta score of 41.
Oh yeah,
But
it's fucking garbage.
But apparently it's a top 20. Number 18 is Merlin, which was a TV miniseries from 1998. I have not
Yeah, that's
seen
Sam
it.
Neill. That one's actually not bad.
Okay. Number 17, Gremlins.
Yeah.
What?
I love
I mean, I would
Gremlins.
never agree with on that was a Christmas movie, but
Yeah. While I think technically it makes fantasy, it's not what people think of as a fantasy movie.
no, not really.
Number
Not really.
16. Number 16, The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian.
No,
I've
you
seen
can't have this one listed twice. That's all the Chronicles of Narnia at
No,
the
no, no,
bottom.
no. They are separate movies, but
No.
they are separate movies. But The
Yeah.
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is far superior to fucking Prince Caspian.
Yes, it is.
Number 15, What Dreams May Come. I have never heard of this movie. It has a Metascore of 44 from 1998. Don't
Okay.
even know how that's in this
That's
list.
actually
Is that
good
is that-
movie. It's not a fantasy movie though. It is
That's-
dark fucking movie about Robin Williams trying to find his wife after death because she committed suicide. He dies in an accident. It's
Yeah,
fucking. It's sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Well-
not a fantasy movie. That
Well,
is
it
a
is number
sad movie.
15 in the fantasy movie list.
No.
Number 14. Number 14.
What?
The
Who the
Dark.
fuck's classifying these things?
Hang on, we got to get through all of them. Then you can bitch and rage more. Number 14 is The Dark Crystal.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
Agreed. Good.
But
Yeah.
it should
For
probably
first
be
one that belongs
higher.
on the fucking list.
probably should be higher. Yes, but I won't bitch about it. Number 13, Spirited Away.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Mind you,
If-
it has a Metascore of 96.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no complaints with it being on the list. Depending on what else is on the list, I may have complaints.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know why it's so low, but sure, go ahead.
most of the list going forward is actually pretty good. Number 12 is Willow.
Okay.
All right.
Number 11 is Labyrinth.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 10, Conan the Barbarian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 9, Princess Bride. Personally, it should
Yeah.
be higher. It should definitely be higher,
Yeah.
but it's number 8, The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Not
It's
my
should-
jam,
it-
but I
it-
understand.
It shouldn't be beating The Princess Bride, but it's definitely a fantasy novel series.
yeah. Number 7, The Neverending Story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number
That
6,
one may beat Princess Bride just from a fantasy, quote unquote, setting.
It-
More fantastical.
they're both top 10 films in the
Yeah.
fantasy genre. Number 6, Princess Mononoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 5, Excalibur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I put it up from 5. It can't be.
Oh,
above
yeah.
Princess
I'm not
Bride.
agreeing.
I would
with-
not. Yeah.
Well,
But it
it's
Top
absolutely.
10 for sure, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
I'm with you
I
on
think-
that.
I think the issue comes down to how you're defining fantasy. Because, like, The Princess Bride, everything there to me is grounded in a reality, aside from Andre the Giant, and even he was real, you know?
Miracle.
Whereas-
Miracle Max.
Miracle Max.
Miracle
Yeah.
Max, yeah.
The
then
machine that
Neverending
sucks the
Story,
year
you
out
got-
of your life.
Yeah. And then you look at Neverending Story, you got all these monsters and wizards and
Oh, yeah,
magics and shit.
Yeah.
There's
So-
levels to fantasy, but it still
Yeah.
fits. So number 5 was Excalibur. The next one, the next few are where we will rage, or at least the next one for sure. Number 4, Game of Thrones.
it's not a movie.
It's
But
not a
this is-
movie.
This is a movie list, and Game of Thrones is number 4.
It's not a movie.
It's not.
What the fuck?
Yep.
No,
So
because the last 2 seasons of it kill it.
number 3, number 2, number 1. Number 3, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers. Number 2, Return of the King. Number 1, Fellowship of the Ring.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
I-
at least they got that fucking right.
I don't
Yeah.
agree with that, but you know,
I mean, it is
Yeah.
the loin
I
in which
don't
we
disagree.
get everything, but it should be
the-
split. It should be one entry.
yeah, I kind of agree with you. The one movie that was not in the top 20 that I fucking rage about that belonged to be in here was Legend. How
Shit,
the
man. I'm
Yeah,
going to say
yeah.
Beastmaster.
Yeah, Beastmaster even top
Beastmaster.
20. But
Lady Hawk? Fuck.
Yeah, Deathstalker.
Call the
God.
Conqueror?
No.
Yeah. Why isn't Cole on the list?
Because it's not good.
Kroll.
Yeah, that'd be. the
Oh,
reason.
right. Every Ray Harryhausen film, there's none of them in the top 20.
Yeah.
Like, why is Clash of the Titans not up here somewhere? Oh, yeah. And guess what else wasn't in the fucking top 20? All the Harry Potter movies.
That is
That's
weird,
okay.
actually.
Number 21 was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, and they kind of fell out the rest of them.
I'm fine with that, actually.
Right. Well, that's a dumb shit list, and I don't understand how the fuck Game of Thrones is even on the list on account of it's a movie list. But okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And while I'll agree that Game of Thrones was a phenomenal show for the first 5 seasons, I can't even think about the last couple of seasons. And I've never once in my life experienced a show or anything that everybody I knew talked about constantly, and everyone just shut the fuck up after the last
Yeah.
fucking season
I'm
aired because
I
no one fucking cared anymore.
I am
Like, it was
probably
so
the only
bad.
I am probably the only person who actually liked the last 2 seasons. I had no issue with them. So,
Jesus.
So I
We'll
know we
talk about
normally
that
end it.
offline, Jay.
oh yeah.
I know we normally end in a bit, but just out of curiosity, I googled top psionic movies, and
Oh,
I got an
damn
IMDb
it.
list.